The year was 1919, and in the hollow valleys of Appalachian Kentucky, there lay a forgotten town named Harlan's Edge, a place so small and cut off from the rest of the world that even the trains had stopped whistling past it. The air was heavy with the scent of damp pine, and the hills echoed only with the caws of ravens and the soft creak of rocking chairs on old wooden porches. Families there had lived for generations, bound by the land, the mines, and blood that ran too close together. Everyone knew everyone, and often everyone was related, in one way or another. In that silent town there was a child. His name was Eli, but the folks just called him the Inbred boy. He was born in a small cabin at the edge of the woods, on a night when thunder rolled and the lantern light flickered like it feared the storm. The midwife swore he never cried when he came into the world, just stared, wide-eyed and still, at her face, like he knew something she didn't. His mother, Mary Lou, was barely 16, and his father was her cousin, maybe closer, no one could say for sure. The family line had twisted and turned so many times that no one could draw a proper tree anymore. Eli grew, but not like other children. He didn't speak, not a word, not a sound. But his eyes, they followed everything. He'd sit on the porch from dawn till dusk, watching people pass by on the dirt road. He knew their steps, their shadows, their faces. When the coal miners came home, black dust covering their skin, he would nod at them one by one, as if counting souls. When strangers came through town, he'd tilt his head and stare, silent but knowing, until they hurried along, uneasy under his gaze. The townsfolk said he could remember faces like a mirror remembers light. If he'd seen you once, even for a second, he'd never forget. He'd look at you years later, same calm eyes, same quiet knowing. But that wasn't what scared them. What scared them was that he always seemed to know who you were related to. He'd fix his gaze on a man and then glance toward a woman or a child, and somehow you'd realize there was blood between them. Somewhere down the line. He never said it, of course. He couldn't. But he'd look, and the truth would hang heavy in the air, like smoke no one wanted to breathe. By the time Eli turned 10, folks started to whisper that he was a curse. Some said he was the punishment of God for what the town had done, for the way it had folded in on itself, generation after generation. Others said he was a gift, something born of too much sameness, a child who could see the threads of kinship that others were blind to. But none of them dared to get close. He lived mostly in silence, fed by his mother, guarded by his grandfather, who carried the hollow look of a man who knew too much. People in Harlan's Edge avoided the cabin after sunset. They said strange lights flickered inside, and sometimes, if you passed by at night, you could hear the soft tapping of his hands against the window pane, like he was counting something only he could see. Then, one autumn morning, the preacher went missing. The town searched for 3 days, combing the hills and riverbeds, but he was gone without a trace. On the 4th day, little Eli walked into the church alone. The bell rang once, though no one had pulled the rope. The door creaked open, and there he stood, barefoot, pale and silent, staring at the empty pulpit. In his hand, he held the preacher's pocket watch. No one asked how he got it. They didn't have to. His eyes said enough. After that, folks began locking their doors. They said Eli would wander the roads at night, stopping at houses, pressing his face against the glass. People swore they'd wake up and find handprints on their windows, small, child-sized and cold to the touch. Some claimed he was searching for something or someone. Others whispered that he was tracing the last of the family lines, following blood until there was nothing left to find. Winter came hard that year. The snow buried fences, froze wells, and silenced even the dogs. Mary Lou fell ill, fever burning her thin body until she barely moved. The doctor came once, looked at her and left shaking his head. Eli sat beside her, never speaking, never sleeping, just watching her breathe. When she died, he closed her eyes with one trembling hand. The next morning, the cabin was empty. The door hung open, snow blowing in. They found footprints leading into the woods, small and straight, disappearing into the white. The men followed them for miles until they reached the edge of an old mine shaft, one that hadn't been used since before Eli was born. The prints stopped there. No one saw him again, but the story didn't end. Every few years, someone passing through Harlan's Edge would speak of seeing a boy in the woods, pale as snow, eyes too old for his face. He never spoke, just watched. Once a traveler said he saw the boy standing near the church, tracing his finger along the names carved on the old cemetery stones, pausing at each one as if remembering. Even now, the people who still live near the valley keep their curtains drawn at night. They say if you look out your window long enough, you'll see him watching from the trees, the inbred child who never spoke, but somehow knew that everyone in that town was bound by one blood, one sin, and one secret that refused to die. And if he looks at you for too long, they say, you'll start to remember too. Faces you've never met, names you've never heard, but somehow feel you should know. That's when you'll realize the truth. In a town like Harlan's Edge, no one was ever really a stranger. And some kinships were never meant to be known.